Hey, Plane viewers, get ready for a pretty cool event coming up.
Oh, yeah.
We've got the next full moon, which is known as the worm moon. And on top of that, we're also going to have a total lunar eclipse.
It's going to be quite the show.
Yeah, if you are in the right spot, you'll be able to see that moon turn that sort of reddish-brown color that some people like to call a blood moon.
Yeah, and it's really something to see when you think about what's going on.
Right.
It's the moon passing directly opposite the sun with the Earth right in between.
Right in the middle.
And as the moon moves into the Earth's shadow, that's when the eclipse starts. And that's when things start to get visually interesting.
Definitely. So let's break down when exactly people can catch this. The full moon is going to officially peak early Friday morning, March 14th, at 2:55 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
All right.
Now, you don't have to stay up super late to see this thing, you know.
No.
It's going to appear full for about 3 days from Wednesday evening to Saturday morning.
Yeah, so you'll have a few chances to catch it. Now, for the eclipse itself, the moon starts entering the Earth's partial shadow, which we call the penumbra.
Yeah.
On Thursday night at 11:57 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
Got it.
You're not really going to notice too much dimming at first, but as it moves deeper into the shadow, it'll become more apparent.
So for those of us who are watching, when does the real show begin?
Well, things start to get a little bit more dramatic around 1:09 a.m. Friday morning when the moon edges into the Earth's full shadow, what we call the umbra. You'll start to see that distinct shadow creep across the surface of the moon. And then at 2:26 a.m., the moon will be completely engulfed in the umbra. And that's when the total eclipse begins.
Right.
The greatest eclipse, where the moon is deepest in the shadow, peaks at 2:59 a.m. and lasts for about 65 minutes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, here's something that might surprise some people.
Okay.
Even though the moon is fully in Earth's shadow during the eclipse, it doesn't actually disappear.
Right.
Instead, it takes on this reddish-brown color.
Right.
It's actually the light from all the sunrises and sunsets that are happening on Earth at that exact same time.
Wow.
It gets bent by our atmosphere and then cast onto the moon.
Yeah, precisely. And, while the term blood moon is catchy, it's not scientifically accurate and it can lead to misconceptions.
Sure.
The reddish hue is just a really cool optical phenomenon caused by the way sunlight interacts with the Earth's atmosphere and not, a sign of some impending doom or anything.
Right.
It's not bad luck.
Nothing like that. So let's talk about the name worm moon now.
Right.
It's connected to Native American traditions and tied to the seasonal changes that we see happening around this time of year.
Yeah, you'll find that different Native American tribes had a variety of different names for this full moon.
Okay.
Northern tribes in the northeast U.S. often called it the crow moon, and they linked that to the sound of crows with the end of winter coming up.
Yeah?
Others called it the crest moon, referencing the cycle of snow thawing and refreezing, or the sap or sugar moon, marking the time for tapping maple trees.
Right, so we're getting that maple syrup.
Exactly.
It's amazing how those names actually capture that transition between winter and spring.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, the worm moon name was more common among the southern tribes who noticed earthworm casts appearing as the ground thawed.
I see.
This difference is actually linked to the last ice age.
Oh, wow.
Glaciers wiped out the native earthworms in the north, so those ecosystems developed without them.
So basically, the worm phenomenon was only really a southern observation.
Right.
Because that's where those earthworms survive.
Yeah.
It's so interesting how a name can tell us so much about, our ecological history.
It is.
And on that note, we've also heard the name pothole moon being used as well.
Yeah, that's a more recent suggestion, and it's more lighthearted. It comes from a friend of mine, Tom Van Wagner.
Okay.
It's just a nod to all those potholes that pop up on the roads after the winter.
Especially here in the Northeast.
Oh, yeah.
Pothole moon. I like it.
Yeah.
It's definitely something that we can all relate to.
For sure.
Now, besides the moon itself, there's a whole celestial landscape to explore during this lunar cycle. What else should our viewers be looking out for?
Well, if you have a telescope.
Okay. And a clear view of the night sky, Jupiter and Mars will be putting on a show.
Oh, nice.
And if you observe carefully, you can even watch Jupiter's moons change position throughout the night.
Oh, cool.
It's like a subtle celestial dance.
That's so cool. What about Venus and Mercury? Any chance of spotting those during this cycle?
They might be a little bit harder to catch.
Okay.
Venus and Mercury will be pretty low on the horizon, so you'll need a really clear view and a bit of luck to spot them.
All right.
And for a real challenge, you could even try to find Uranus.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be very dim, but potentially visible if you're in a location with really dark skies.
So we've got a planetary lineup to observe. How about any meteor showers or comets gracing the sky during this time?
Unfortunately, there are no major meteor showers predicted and no comets expected to be visible without a telescope.
Okay,
But that just gives us more time to focus on those planets and the lunar eclipse.
that's true. Plenty to keep us busy. Earlier, we were talking about those different Native American names for the full moon.
Is there a good resource out there where our viewers could go to learn more about those names throughout the year?
Absolutely. The Maine Farmer's Almanac is a great place to start.
Hmm.
They actually began publishing those Native American names back in the 1930s.
Wow.
And it's really fascinating to see how those names reflect such a close connection between indigenous cultures and the natural world.
That's awesome. I'll have to check that out. So we've covered the science of the eclipse, the cultural significance of the worm moon, and even what else is happening in the night sky during this lunar cycle. I bet our viewers are ready to head outside and see it all for themselves. Any last tips for sky watchers before we wrap up?
Well, if you have a chance to observe the total lunar eclipse, I'd recommend trying to find a location with minimal light pollution.
Yeah, I bet that makes a huge difference.
It really does, and witnessing that event with your own eyes is truly an awe-inspiring experience.
Absolutely worth the effort to find that good viewing spot.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And don't forget about those potholes if you're out driving or biking under the worm moon, or should we say the pothole moon. But on a more serious note, I think it's important to consider how understanding the science behind these types of celestial events can actually change our perspective on our place in the universe.
I agree. It's a profound thought. When we grasp the mechanics of something like an eclipse, we're not just watching a pretty light show. We're connecting with fundamental laws that govern the entire universe, laws that apply to us here on Earth just as they do to distant stars and galaxies.
It really is a humbling realization. It
Yes.
makes you appreciate those intricate workings of the cosmos and our connection to something so much larger than ourselves.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, so to all our Sideplane viewers out there, get out there and explore the night sky.
Yeah.
Let those wonders of the universe inspire you.
Every time you look up, it's a chance to connect with the vastness of space and maybe even ponder some of life's big questions.
Definitely. What a great note to end on. We hope you enjoyed this journey through the upcoming lunar eclipse and the worm moon. Until next time, keep looking up, keep exploring, and keep those questions coming. Clear skies everywhere.
Clear skies. Yeah, it really does put things into perspective,
For sure.
When we can understand these complex events that are happening out there, it's kind of a reminder that we're just a small part of something so much greater than ourselves.
Yeah,
A universe filled with wonder and still so much left to discover.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And, thinking about the worm moon name and how it's tied to the seasons, it's a great reminder that, our ancestors were really keen observers of the sky and its cycles.
Right?
They used those observations to understand the natural world around them, and it's a tradition we can continue today, even with all of our modern technology.
I completely agree. There's something very special about stepping outside and just looking up at the night sky. It
Yeah.
connects us to something ancient and timeless. And even though we now have these scientific explanations for events like eclipses, I think that sense of awe and wonder still remains.
It really does. So to all our Sideplane viewers, we encourage you to get out there and experience the worm moon and the total lunar eclipse if it's visible in your area.
Yeah.
And as you do, just remember that you're connecting with a chain of sky watchers stretching back thousands of years, all united by that shared fascination with the cosmos.
Beautifully said. And who knows what new discoveries await us as we continue to explore the universe.
Exactly.
Maybe one of our viewers will make the next groundbreaking astronomical finding.
That's a great thought.
Yeah.
Until then, keep looking up, keep asking questions, and keep that curiosity alive. We'll see you next time on Sideplane.
Yeah, it really does, make you think about our place in the whole scheme of things.
It really does.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good reminder, too, that just by looking up at the sky and observing things, we can learn so much about the universe.
Absolutely.
We can connect with those, ancient sky watchers who didn't have the technology we have today.
Right, they had to rely on their own observations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So get out there, check out the worm moon, the lunar eclipse, and, just remember, you're part of a long tradition of sky watchers.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah,
And you never know what we'll discover next.
exactly. There's always something new to find up there.
It's an exciting time to be interested in space, that's for sure.
It is. So to all of our Sideplane viewers out there, keep looking up, keep asking questions, and most importantly, keep that curiosity alive.
Couldn't agree more.
We'll see you next time on Sideplane.